everyone. My name is Renegade Operative, and welcome to... We're doing something a little different today. So the first thing is, if you see a weird cut, then we're focusing on a double Buster Wolf podcast. The first one's going to be about Final Fight, and the second one's going to be about that crazy TGS news and state of play where Tekken finally came into fruition, and I cannot be happier that it did. So we're gonna get right into it with Final Fight first. I'm gonna introduce my panel, and first we have Kaneki.
I'm a big bat. What's good, man?
What's good? What's good? Next we have Nikki.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
I almost thought that was a cat, like scratching Cody's leg. What's going on there? Okay then. As I see the word FAP in chat, but we'll ignore that. So next is Mr. Nero.
Greetings.
Next up is Rat Rat.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I feel like I should know that this is one of
The first game is from the first game.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
bonus stage and you bust up the car.
Oh, that's perfect. That is brilliant. But let's jump right into the first question. We might have some stragglers. They might be late. But what was your first introduction into Final Fight? How did you get acquainted with the franchise for the first time in history? Who wants to go first?
I got this one. Final Fight on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, my answer, but yes, that's my answer.
Yep.
Same.
Yep. We had a Super Nintendo early in my household, and one of the games we got was a game called Final Fight. I was familiar with Capcom due to Mega Man, so you have this experience where you're in the streets and you're punching people, and all of this was before I played Street Fighter 2. So it was an interesting experience, especially because that was my introduction. I wasn't familiar with the original arcade release of Final Fight, and then after I discovered it, everything changed.
I guess I'll go next. Mine's gonna be like really short. So I think I first played Final Fight during the PS3 era. I wasn't like super old head that played it on the SNES, but I have heard of that game. I was a Genesis baby, so I was mostly focused on Streets of Rage. Then later on, as time progressed and I got the PS3, I found Final Fight Double Impact, I believe. That was the one that I downloaded and played, and I actually enjoyed it. And then I retroactively went back and I played Final Fight 2, Final Fight 3, and Final Fight Streetwise, and it has its ups and downs, but it's one of those beat 'em ups that grew on me over time. Wasn't really that bad. It was pretty cool for what they tried to do and what Capcom did for the entire genre, which was you can go in, clean up the streets, and absolutely pummel some faces. So I more or less appreciated it. I remember there was a big rant about the DRM on PS3, but that's another story for another day. Still, Final Fight, super enjoyable, and I wish we got a Final Fight game that had 4 players. That would be absolutely fucking crazy, but you know, that's for the last question on the document. So I'll pass the baton to someone else.
Yes, I'll go. Oh, go ahead.
My introduction to Final Fight, I played it on an emulator with my phone, and then I played it on Fightcade a lot. I also purchased the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection and played Final Fight there.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I also played it on the Beat 'em Up collection, and it was pretty smooth for what it was. Hades is trying to get me to download this mod that has 4 players already on it, and it's a fan mod. So I want to see and test that. But for what Capcom did, it was pretty cool. Also, man, it's so much that I love that I could just go on and on. But Nikki, you had something to say?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that. Oh shit! My door just opened. Yeah. So I think I first played it. Well, I was introduced to Streets of Rage at first, and then when I saw Final Fight at Blockbuster Video, I'm aging myself here. I I had a lot of fun with it. It was a game that both me and my brother could play on the SNES, and it just grew on me.
Anyone else want to go on this? Or is that it for now?
For now, yes.
Okay. So let's move on to the next one as my dogs try to kill each other like the Mad Gear tries to do for the people in the streets. What are your thoughts on the original Final Fight from a gameplay perspective? You could bring up criteria like Streets of Rage, etc. in comparison. How did you feel about the general beat 'em up gameplay? Was it good, bad, mid, etc.?
From what I experienced on the first introduction for it on the Super Nintendo, the gameplay mechanic, it was all right. It tried to be its own beat 'em up. Like I remember, even back then, it wasn't even supposed to be called Final Fight, if I'm not mistaken. It was supposed to be called Street Fighter '89, and then it turned into a Final Fight. But from what the gameplay I experienced, it was all right. It was nothing revolutionary. It's definitely rough. I could tell you that. Like, if I was to play this and then go to Streets of Rage, I will not go back to Final Fight. But I'm glad later on it improved, and I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, the first game was fine, as most coin out games back in the past.
Yeah.
I found this game really fucking hard.
That too.
I ultimately got it down. You have to just unlock everything in the corner and pipe, or keep spamming that combo with Guy where he does the whirlwind kick. Still, it's a pretty decent game. It's like a nice first attempt, where the game is rough, but at the same time you also know that it's a lot of potential to be had there for later sequels, which they improve. Then it just gets on to the next question. But I didn't even know that this game was supposed to be a Street Fighter game at first. That's like new information to me.
Yep. You could thank old Street Fighter 30th anniversary for telling us that was supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, but you got your the only thing I really didn't like is the fact that if you drop your weapon for the second time, it would just go away and you can't do shit about it. I thought that was kind of weird because I was like trying to beat the crap out of this hooker with a nice stick, and I'm like, "What? She hits me once. Why is it gone? Like I can't pick it up anymore." That's kind of cheap, but overall, small problems here or there. They ironed it out in the sequel, so I pretty much enjoyed the gameplay they set up. What about you, Rat?
To me, the original Final Fight can be summed up in one word: quintessential. You have your attack, you have your jump attack, you can throw people, you can pick up weapons and use them accordingly, you can pick up food on the floor to heal. It's all very standard. It's what you would see in a lot of arcade beat 'em ups when the 1990s rolled around. To me, it's not really a bad thing. It's just sort of set the groundwork for what was to come for the entire genre. But I still like the original Final Fight. It's just as classic as it gets.
Yep, it's a big old nostalgia trip each time I boot that game up. And it's only enhanced by the fact that I'm playing the Sega CD version, so the music is mint and great as opposed to other versions, which we will not talk about. Next up is Nero. What do you think of the Final Fight gameplay?
Final Fight gameplay is very simple and really fun. Once you learn like the infinite that Cody has, I feel like the game will be like way too simple.
I agree. Like I said, not but 20 minutes ago, I was just beating someone's tits off by doing the infinite spam in the corner.
I can never do that for some reason, even though it looks so simple to do.
It looks so simple, but you gotta keep. It's one of those like you press back, you press punch, you keep doing it. I know you could do something like this in Streets of Rage, but in Final Fight,
Streets of Rage was easier to do because all they do is like get stun lock before you like do it again.
This one is just the timing is super strict. If you fuck it up, they
Yeah.
get out and they will punch the living crap out of you.
And if I recall correctly, that set Cody's Infinite was referenced in Street Fighter Alpha 3 as like one of his super moves.
Yep.
It just keeps. Oh man, I have to get into the Alpha series because I want to do that to people. That'd be great. First exclusive
I will say the
tournament.
arcade version is very different from the SNES version.
Yes. Because from what I remember, this goes into the next question as well. I guess we might as well do that. But we're missing a character. If you got the original Final Fight, I believe Guy is missing. So what they did is they tried to compensate by having a re-release called Final Fight Guy, and I believe Guy is in the game, someone else, and then someone else in that version got removed just to play as Guy.
They removed Cody.
Yup. So it's just Hagar, Guy, that's it. No Cody. Cody Banks is nowhere to be found. How do you guys feel about them trying to compensate for the console versions by cutting a character?
Well, who's going to save Jessica Hager then if her boyfriend's out?
Oh yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter if someone else saves her. That's the whole point. Is the hero has to save the girl, right? Has to save his girl. So if someone else saves her, it's like pointless.
She belongs to the mayor now, apparently, in that version.
I mean, it's his daughter. I guess it makes sense.
Yep.
But it just has like it's weird. Like your best friend is the one who saves your girlfriend.
Hey.
Not you.
I have a wild, crazy, theory on why they did that. You want to hear this?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The fucking console can't handle 3 people.
It's a damn
No
shame.
second player.
Well, yeah,
either.
of course. The Super Nintendo
Yep.
can't handle 3 characters on. That's
Also,
why X-Men Arcade never made it to.
Along with
consoles.
the
it
along
also
with the
can't
censorship.
handle a 2-player game.
Jeez. Wait.
Along
Super
with censorship.
Nintendo version was 1 player only.
Yep.
Wasn't Turtles in Time 2 players, but you could play as all 4 turtles?
Yes, it was. It was 2-player.
Yeah, 4-player back then was just very foreign, but I can totally see why. I feel kind of bad for people who didn't know this originally, and then they just walked into it figuring, hey, there's this other different character that you could finally play as, and I think
Also-
that game was full price too, so you had to rebuy it again if that's the case.
Also, for people that probably know when playing the SNES version for the first time, those names you see on some enemies and mostly the bosses, that's not their actual names. For example, Sodom, he's named Katana in the SNES version. And everyone who played the arcade version knows, hey, that's not his actual name. What are we doing?
Rat.
Well,
Wasn't
see,
Damned name changed also?
it was changed to Thrasher.
Thrasher, that's right.
And
And then-
furthermore, Nintendo kept that name change consistency in Street Fighter Alpha 2 because Sodom was in that game. I mean, Katana was in
Katana.
that game.
Also, people will also point out, hey, Roxy, sorry, is not in that version either. So what did they replace them with? More of the enemies you fought from the first stage? Nothing crazy.
It was like they changed them to male. What were they like? Billy and Sid, I think.
Yeah, but they haven't changed the model much. It's pretty much just changed the name and, give them the same enemies who.
Give them rad 90s attitude.
Yeah.
That's
I think
so
they changed their hairstyles too, if I remember.
did.
Like it was
Yeah.
like pink spiked hair and like green spiked hair.
Yeah.
That's so funny because I didn't even know Roxy existed until I played the Sega CD version. I had no fucking idea.
I didn't even know she was a thing till was it Third Strike or no, Third Strike Poison was in it. I think one of the Hugo stories I read, that's where she came into play. And then I played the arcade version later on. I was like, oh, there is a poison like character named Roxy.
Did they censor or did they get rid of Relento?
Yes, they did. They didn't have a. Apparently, the console couldn't handle another level, and that was the Relento stage.
Fuck, this sounds crazy. Like,
They probably didn't even want like when you defeat Relento, I think he blows himself up, and I think like Nintendo was probably like, yeah, no, we can't have this.
the whole stage is gone. So
Oh
it's
my
like,
god!
phew.
Also, you have to walk through an assload of fire at the start of that stage, I believe. Is
Oh.
that the one? Because the Super Nintendo would be crying rendering all that.
Yeah, you have a point.
I think so.
Also, Final Fight Guy was not that much of an apology game. It was a tree falling in the woods with no sound because you couldn't buy that game normally.
Really? No.
You had to rent it because it was a Blockbuster Video exclusive.
No,
Wow.
that's crazy.
That's exactly where I got it from too.
Time to pull out your membership card is the only way to get
Oh
that.
man,
motherfucker.
back then they even have exclusives. What the hell?
Oof.
And this is before the whole Best Buy gets one character, Amazon gets another character,
Jesus
GameStop
Christ.
gets another character.
This
This is really some bullshit, isn't it?
that's your first pre-order DLC.
I
Don't worry.
wish back then, where I
Pre-order
was,
DLC, you get Guy.
I wish back then when arcades was booming that I would play the Final Fight arcade instead. But all we had around in terms of arcade machine was Marvel vs. Capcom, which I'm not gonna complain. It was the best experience I ever had before the home console, of course.
Yeah, Capcom beat 'em ups were not in my local arcade. That was dominated by Konami beat 'em ups, and considering they had names like The Simpsons and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and X-Men, can you really blame your local co-op coin up?
No. That's. I
My
mean,
arcade had them.
as they basically say, it is the new hot shit. So they're gonna have those in immediately, and it's gonna be consumer demand. And having that GIMP version there, oh man, it's quite the scenario, all things considered. But I want to move on to the next question, which is number 4, talking about the sequels. So, how do you feel about Final Fight 2 and 3, along with Capcom's decision to make them Super Nintendo exclusive?
They were both general improvements over the fact that a second player can now play the game.
Also, they fixed that issue. Interesting.
Yes.
They fixed a lot of issues.
Okay.
Although Final Fight 2 was
2 is okay. Here's my issue with 2. I feel like outside of Maki, that game is just bland. I don't know what it is, because
it kind of felt downgraded compared to even the first
It's
one.
a forgettable story. I mean, it kind of feels like they copy pasted Cody's story into Guy. Like I think it was Guy's girlfriend who was taken in that game.
Oh, hello.
you're late. Hello, late bit. How's it going?
Which I don't remember what
I
Guy's
had-
girlfriend's name was, but
Yeah, not great because computer screen broke, so I had to improvise something else.
Oh,
By the by, the girlfriend was named Rena.
interesting.
oh,
little
that's
rundown.
right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And she
sorry.
was
But
Maki's
yeah,
sister. Right.
but yeah, sorry. I had technical difficulties, but I'm here.
No, it's fine.
That's okay. Welcome.
We're talking about Final Fight 2 and 3 and what we thought about them and how they were Super Nintendo exclusive.
So my
Yeah.
memory on Final Fight 2 is fuzzy. Rena is Maki's sister, and also it's Maki's master that also gets kidnapped. But I can't remember this gang's name for the life of me because they're just not Mad Gear.
Yeah. And how'd you feel about Final Fight originally being called Street Fighter 89?
Oh, we
I already
talked.
brought that up.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and I thought it was interesting, because I had no idea that was originally a Street Fighter game before anything else.
Yeah,
Well,
they changed it because at a trade show, someone think they said that it didn't play anything like Street Fighter.
Oh, that's
yeah,
funny.
this
It was supposed
was
to be the sequel to Street Fighter 1, I think.
this was during a time where Street Fighter the original was kind of a success. So Capcom kind of wanted to move it forward by emphasizing the street part. Like they would slap it on anything. In fact, we're not going to talk about this game, but I want to bring up Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight.
What a name that is. It just seems like they jumbled everything together like a wet peanut butter jelly sandwich.
And it doesn't play like either game.
Ooh.
That's why you should never make. That's why they should have just made it Street Fighter 2100, because at least everyone would be dead by then, and it wouldn't be wrong.
You mean
And it still
2010?
wouldn't be Street Fighter.
You mean 2010? Because that's what we got.
Oh no.
But no, to answer on the Super Nintendo exclusive part, at first I did not mind until years later, where we are right now, they cannot release those two games on either the beat 'em up collection or hell, they're not even on Nintendo's Switch Online subscription.
I mean, they got re-released on like Wii U and 3DS, so there's that.
I don't count those because it's basically the same port.
So basically no compilation of those games anytime soon outside of Nintendo platforms. That sucks, but
Unless they're nice enough to add it on Switch Online.
that sucks.
I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
Sounds like something Nintendo would do, monopolize their games.
But it's not Nintendo though. Capcom owns it.
Right, Capcom, yeah.
So,
strange.
So why they
decision.
can't just release them then if it's Capcom?
Because
know,
they still technically have to holler at Nintendo and say, "Hey, can you help us out with this version?"
I was gonna say there's always goes back to Nintendo, man.
So it's all licensing
Told you
issues.
so.
Yeah, it's all licensing
Yeah.
issues, but I think this second one is just, you know, it didn't blow me away. It's one of those games where it's like, it's okay at best. And playing as Maki was the most entertaining thing about it because I like doing the whirlwind kicks.
I
And
mean, I guess Capcom just wanted to focus more on the home consoles and try to make more arcade games.
oh yeah, that's how they had their exclusive deals, because I think this was when home console was really starting to gravitate and get bigger and bigger, and they found the market for
It
that.
was destroying the arcade scenes.
Ooh.
Holy shit.
At least in the US.
I would say anywhere except Japan. Japan still got their thing
Yeah.
going.
RIP Midway.
Arcade games were still king at this point, because while you had the convenience of the console, you had the high quality visuals, sounds of an arcade. Like, you can port games down to those consoles, but it won't be the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they were starting to get kind of close with SNES and Genesis. It's not like TMNT 2 versus the 80s arcade game where it was severely downgraded.
And then the era PS2 happens where I'm like, arcade?
Oh yeah, after that point it was no going back.
The social aspect of the arcade was fun too.
Yep.
I mean, the Mortal Kombat games on SNES were getting close to arcade.
No blood, no
close
cell.
that Ultimate is missing an entire character.
Wait, what? That's another thing I didn't know. What?
Minor deviation: the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis version of Ultimate MK3 has no Shiva.
Oh,
That's for the best.
That's the thing. Like, you can play it on the console, but it might be missing a few sounds. It might be missing an entire character, as we went over.
No stomp.
It just won't be the same.
No stomp, bitch. That's
why,
good.
That's why the DS version has Shiva.
Yeah. So Final Fight 3, I want to focus on now.
Woo!
Significant improvement over 2, in my opinion. I just love the characters, and that was the first introduction of Lucia, who is in Street Fighter 5 now. And she does these crazy, like, cartwheel kicks and combos, and I just love playing with her. And also, there's like a super meter now, so they implemented that in there as well, where you could do like finishers to the enemies for the first time in Final Fight. So what was your impressions on Final Fight 3?
I like the characters in there. Like, I think Carlos was one of the characters. I thought he was really cool.
I think Carlos was in 2.
Carlos was 2.
Was he? He was in 2. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of
You-
Dean. I was thinking of Dean. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep.
Dean.
Yeah, Lucia was in 3.
Lucia was in 3, and then Dean was also in 3.
You could play as Hagar again.
Hagar and his fantastic rat tail.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I forgot they gave him a little bit of a slight makeover in that game.
But where's Cody?
That's something I thought that was weird in that game, but still, it was so fun.
He is sent to prison. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's in jail now, so he's dealing with
I
that.
think they came up with a whole backstory for him, like not being in 2 and 3. Like, I think because Jessica was studying out in Europe and Cody was out there with her. I think that was what that was the storyline at first, but then they retconned that.
Like not
When,
going to jail.
Because I think he went to jail later on, and then she broke
Yeah.
up with him. She was like, no.
Cody is not in jail until post Final Fight.
Mm-hmm.
What is the reason for him being in prison?
And then he's in jail in Alpha 3 and Street Fighter 4.
Yeah,
Mhm.
what is the reason for him being in prison? Did he get framed or something?
Violence, just obsessed with fighting.
Well,
I
that'll
think
do it.
Poison framed him for something after Final Fight Revenge, if I remember.
Violence and getting framed, that'll do it to him, I guess. But
Mhm. And then he just got addicted to fighting.
And now he's a mayor, so
now he's the mayor. How fucking leap is that? First Street Fighter, technically, then he's in jail, and now he's the mayor of Metro City. Make it make sense.
looks like he doesn't need Hagar's daughter after all.
Mm-hmm. And
He's-
Hagar still stayed in his life, which I guess was a positive influence on him.
It's like, kid, I own the police.
Cody's like, you
I
sure
am
about
the
that?
police.
But I can't praise 3 enough. While I did play it like slightly, I just think the combo system. I saw Guy do like Hadokens in there as well. That was also awesome. They had inputs for everything.
Guy was my go-to for Final Fight 3. He does some ridiculous shit that I wish they would have done with some of the characters in Final Fight 2. Like, that was a huge improvement.
You can actually run now too. Great.
One of the better improvements of Final Fight 3 by far is replay value. Because there are
Yes.
actually some hidden areas that you can access.
Oh, rad.
So that
Describe
added
this.
a lot.
I didn't know this. Hidden areas. How do you get them?
I don't remember exactly how you can access some of them, but it's definitely something you have to figure out for yourself. But once you do, yeah, it's been a long time. I just know they exist.
It's been a long time since I played 3, but I remember having fun. Like, Lucia was one of the characters I played with fairly often.
The only guy I didn't
Oh.
play with a lot is Dean, because I just thought he was slow for some reason.
I forgot Dean was a thing.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
like
it's never been more just there than Dean.
then Dean, and even in the intro, he's like, I'm here to help, and the whole police station is like, who the hell are you? And he's like, well, I know where everyone is. You must follow me. And I'm like, you should be taken down to be interrogated. What are you doing here, fam? Like, everyone was just confused, and he's just this anomaly. It's so weird. I don't think he ever shows up again either in other games, right?
Nope,
No.
he's one and done.
Damn. Well,
Like, he didn't even make a cameo in like Lucia or Cody's ending or any of those.
it's like Capcom's Benny Maru burned.
I mean, well, yeah, Guy made a cameo, right?
Yeah, guys
I'm sorry?
actually for Final Fight 3?
Guy was playable in 3.
Street Fighter.
Oh.
I think they just had a picture of him in Zeku's ending, I think it was. And I think he might have been in Lucia's ending. It was it was Cody, Carlos, and someone else in Lucia's ending. And like Lucia ended up like knocking Cody out with her terrible cooking.
Damn.
Well, she
I can't remember who the third person was in there. It was either Zeku or it was somebody else.
All right, so we got it. She basically poisoned him. End of game. Any other opinions on Final Fight 3 before we move on?
No, not much.
I think there's a Chun-Li cameo in the third game too.
Second.
It's in Final Fight 2. It's literally the first stage.
Oh, Final Fight 2.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was just Capcom's way of just doing a little cameo.
Yeah, one of those little Easter eggs. If I remember correctly, I think there was some kind of lore thing between Chun-Li and Lucia. Like Lucia was like Chun-Li's apprentice or something, or that they were in like correspondence.
I mean, they're both cops.
Right. I mean, it would make sense. Yeah.
Get down on the ground and spread. All right. So, also I remember there was like takedowns. You can go to the ground in Final Fight 3 and run. Like I said, there's so much interesting shit that they did with the gameplay mechanics that it's just astronomical. But we have to move on to Final Fight Revenge, which
Yes.
Rad.
No.
Yes.
Is yours, buddy.
Tell us, Radran.
Okay. So, Final Fight Revenge was a game that was released in the year 2000 for the Sega Saturn. Yes, I said the Sega Saturn. I mean, it was released in the arcade a year prior, but
Not Dreamcast.
no. Actually, a Dreamcast port was planned, but nixed. Because Final Fight was developed on the Sega STV, which was basically a Saturn in an arcade cabinet. So it was released too late in the console's life cycle, and even more importantly, it never left Japan. So this is probably the rarest and most unheard of Final Fight game, but don't worry, there's a good reason. This game is some Mad Gear trash.
I like how you put it. That's interesting.
So it is Final Fight's one and only standalone fighting game. You can play as all the Final Fight heroes from the first game, but you obviously have Mad Gear gang members like Andore, Damned, Poison, Elgato, Relento, and yeah, even Belger, who we didn't even talk about because he's the villain and who cares? You punch him out of a skyscraper. It is Belger. But how did he live through that? He punched through that because he's a zombie.
Oh god, here we go.
Zombie Belger is the final boss of this fighting game. And you figured, what could Belger even do? He was a man in a wheelchair. They found things for him to do. The man can puke on you. The man can lunge at you. The man can explode his body, and then his limbs are on the ground, and they explode. It's an experience fighting him. And that's not even getting into the actual fighting itself. Which, obviously, Final Fight games have weapons, which we briefly touched on. You know, your standard knife weapons and all that. That's all well and good. It has a flamethrower. It has a freeze ray. It has a shotgun. And you figure, weapons might do a little more damage because it's worth picking up. I picked up a shotgun, and that's like a 3-round burst. The bullets must have done like 4-5% damage. So you can pick them up and fight with them, but it takes away your punch buttons and it's not really suggested. Also, this game is silly as hell. There's one super where Poison blows a heart kiss at you. And if you run into the heart kiss, you get bombarded with images of Poison doing these provocative poses and actions. Like there's one image where she's sucking on a popsicle, and then you're just stunned there for like 5 seconds. Poison can easily have her way with you if she wants. She can do like a Thunder Whip super. So if you have 2 bars, you hit him with the kiss, you stun them, you hit him with Thunder Whip, and yes, Poison does have her whip, in fact, but it's not the whip that you would come to know in Street Fighter 4. It's just a generic Wacha Castlevania whip, a straight fire. There's nothing else to say about it. And there's tons of weird shit like that all over the game. Rolento has a super where he throws grenades at you, and if you're hit by a grenade, Rolento summons a helicopter. And that helicopter, you can actually move around and shoot the opponent. And it's weird shit like that. Like Eddie E, the cop from Final Fight, is playable. He can rush into you, and if he hits you, he summons a police car and tries to run you over. And it's things like that. Plus, if you hit someone with certain supers, for example, like that charge move I just mentioned 15 seconds ago, if you KO someone on the first hit, Eddie E just straight up handcuffs them. It's like you're taking them in now. And it's weird shit. Like Cody has another super where he does a punch combo, and then if you kill someone with that particular super, and I swear to God this is real, Cody turns away from the opponent. The opponent, he's facing his back towards them, and he says, "You're already dead." And then like hit. The opponent is down. Cody wins, and then he walks away from them.
This literally turned into Fist of the North Star. What the Jesus?
So Cody is the Kenshiro of revenge. Okay.
Yes, yes.
You're already dead.
And then that's not even getting into Hagar. Minor spoilers for questions down the line. Hagar is my favorite Final Fight character. Like, I played him in all 3 Final Fight games. Hagar's supers are straight up ass. So Hagar has grabs, like you expect him to. He does a Zangief spinning pile driver where he shouts, "Geronimo!" before he slams their ass to the ground. But then you get to a super, he holds up his arms when you do that 720 grab, but it's not a grab. It's a wheel. It's a wheel on the ground, like you're playing fucking Wheel of Fortune. And that wheel spins, and you have to stop it on a certain point, because you will get either a lame-ass backdrop, you could get like a triple power bomb, you could get a weak-ass leg sweep. It all depends on Lady Luck. But that's nothing compared to his other super move. He holds his arms up in the air like he just doesn't care. And what does this thing even do? I have no idea. Someone jumps at you, you don't grab them. It's not a standing super, it don't grab them. This is a counter super. And it's not something where it's like, well, I just grab your arm and do the thing. No. This super activates on jump kicks. Hagar kind of does a giant swing that turns into a pile driver. And if you kill them with it, this funky-ass, indescribable animation occurs where you get a shot of the planet, and then there's a boom explosion on the top of the planet, and then you just see Hagar and the opponent just spinning across space before you crash back down on the ground, and then boom, KO. I don't even know how to describe this game. It's bad. It is laughable, but it's bad. Most people are going to be like, oh, it's worth playing for a curiosity's sake. No, it's not. If you have any appreciation for Capcom fighting games, stay away. The only depth you're going to get is a 30-hit combo with a machine gun. That's it. There's very little depth to the combo ability of this game. Like, it does exist, but you have to take a magnifying glass to the fucker. Which, I want to do to this game so badly. Like you would take a magnifying glass to a tiny ant. that kind.
Re-
Anywho, that's my rant on Final Fight Revenge. It broke me. It hurt me.
replace the magnifying glass with a hammer, and I think you're good to go.
It's insane.
I would say just go watch Justin Wong's YouTube. I think he did like every character for that.
Holy, I don't even think I could do that if the game is just...
I tried.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming I'm the only one here who's actually suffered and played Final Fight Revenge, because this is a rare game. I remind you, never released outside of Japan, Sega Saturn console exclusive.
Nope, first time I'm hearing of this one, but Rad, if you want to...
Until years later, when you can emulate it for free.
Yep. But it took that long for it to be emulated competently, which says a lot more about the Sega Saturn itself.
Yeah, don't emulate Sega Saturn games.
3 processors.
Or, you know, if you can get Virtua Fighter to work, then you can play that, which works.
Yeah. Because Sega was trying to save the populace from this game. It was the last Sega Saturn game ever.
Oh.
And for how celebrated the Saturn is in the eyes of Sega fans, because Saturn fans don't get a break. You get Genesis collections, you get Dreamcast ports, you might get a Saturn mode once in a while, but not even Sega wants to touch the Saturn. And hey, Sega, you have no idea what things I will do for you to put out a Saturn Mini. Unspeakable things.
So basically,
okay, I'm done.
Unsolicited services. I got it. Just, yeah, I never.
You done?
Are you done?
Yep.
I feel like you got more.
I don't want to keep you guys here. Like, I could go on about the supers, the weapons, the fact that there is a barrel on the stage that you can punch and it unlocks weapons, but you can stand on the barrel. Yes. That means you can technically avoid offense as long as you're standing on that thing.
Imagine this game being played competitively.
See, I only played Coley in that game. I haven't emulated too deep into that game.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
I played Poison in that game. Mostly because I played Poison in Ultra, so I was hoping for more of the same. It's not. When I play Poison, all I hear is Cat Claw. Cat Claw. What a man. It hurts.
Well, we can move to something somewhat stressful, which is Streetwise.
Yep. The team behind Revenge, Capcom Production Studio 8, continued to work with Capcom on the Maximo games until Capcom gave this production studio free reign for them to basically fulfill their wishes of making a new Final Fight. And they went through such hell. They went through an entire beta prototype, like Seven Sons, I think it's called, that kind of looked like a Final Fight game, but it wasn't enough for Capcom to really sign off on it. It wasn't really coming together. Mm-hmm. So, hey, Grand Theft Auto is popular. Let's take this Seven Sons game and turn it into Final Fight Streetwise.
So, I want to just start off with my opinions first on the gameplay, at least, and then we can pass it around. So, I played this game fearing the worst. I thought it was going to be a dumpster fire, and the gameplay itself is okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. Granted, I don't like certain things where if you're on the ground, you're like, I don't know, a beaten sheep or something. I can't really describe what's going on, but I hate the fact that in a 3D beat 'em up, if you're knocked down, you cannot kick someone off of you if they're attacking you. They could just stomp the living hell out of your balls. And
you mean wake up attacks?
Yeah, there's no wake ups like in this game, from what I could tell. This is why I said Urban Reign back then, they were doing it right. other than that, the general gameplay is just you run up, punch, and kick and throw, and it's not like it's not the worst thing I've seen from gameplay. You got your knives and you can gut people and stuff like that. So if you like okay fighters for like 3D fighters, this is okay. But it's just when you get to the story and you see Cody's pumped up on zombie roids and guys like a mob boss now, which I didn't get that, and you have all this crazy shit at the end with the zombies. I'm like, what did they do to the plot of this game, and why is it so wacky? I don't get it.
Like, what didn't Cody have his name changed to like one of the 4 horsemen when he was on zombie drugs? Like, wasn't he like Death?
I think he was Death, yeah.
Oh man. So if you just want to tune into this game and play the arcade mode and that's it, it's fine. I also heard there's like a cameo somewhere in the game. You fight her or something. I thought that was
And
She's
that's
in
the
Hagrid's
only
gym, yeah.
yeah.
And that's the
And
only
she has
good
like the
thing about that
coolest
game.
Cammy outfit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used it in Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, ooh, the plot of this game is like, where do I begin? So I'm gonna pass it around to the people. What do you think of Final Fight Streetwise?
Never played it, but it looked bad.
Heard
Like,
the
really
story
bad.
about it. Heard the story about it. Did not
Also,
want to emulate it or play it. Period.
I remember people made a compilation of every time they swear in the game, and it was a law.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of swearing in the
God
cutscene.
damn it, Kyle! Where's your focus?
Yeah, so they really want it to be edgy boys, and it really reflects on the dialogue and music because it's like
I'm guessing Capcom probably doesn't consider it canon, right?
No,
Oh, it's
they
not
do
canon.
not.
Thank God.
The only thing that's canon from there is Kyle's existence.
Jesus
And Cody's last name, Travers.
Travers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kept his last name, yeah. Which is interesting because, like, when I think about his last name being Travers, I think of like the word traverse, that he's traversing into different phases of his life.
The only thing I can say is don't play the story mode. That's it. Play arcade
I
because
played the story mode. I actually enjoyed that game. As wacky as it was, I enjoyed it. And the soundtrack is fantastic.
I mean, that's fine, but I'm just like, in my honest opinion, when I saw the drug stuff being introduced,
Zombie Cody.
I don't know where they were going with that. It's so weird.
And then the huge plot twist, quote unquote plot twist at the end.
Oh, tell us what happened.
Did you beat the game or?
I did not. I have like bits and pieces in my brain, but that's about it. But you can spoil it.
So
It's fine.
apparently Cody gets kidnapped somewhere in the game because by the people who's been supplying him the glow.
Jesus.
He has arthritis in his knees from all his previous fighting, and he was taking the glow to make his knees feel better so that he could get back into it because he didn't believe that Kyle was like strong enough for the underground fights that they were doing. So the man who kidnaps Cody and turns him into death, his name is Father Bella. When you're about to defeat Father Bella, he says, "Oh, I'm a Belger."
Of
The
course.
reason why I took Cody is because I wanted revenge for what Cody did to Belger. I'm Belger's brother.
Of course. It's literally Die Hard 3.
That's why I said quote unquote plot twist.
Die Hard 3 the game. That's what they tried to do. But
it's literally Fight Club.
I'm just laughing at the fact that Cody had arthritis knees in this game and his knees don't work. Oh my god. That's just kind of funny to me.
Wasn't Final Fight Streetwise like the game had tanked so bad the company like disbanded?
Yep, Production Studio 8 closed down a month after its release.
Ooh.
They didn't even work on the Xbox version that came out afterwards. That was passed off to like a porting company.
What year did Streetwise come out again?
I think it's
2006.
2006, yep.
2006. Okay.
Oh, right when the Xbox 360 was coming out.
It was supposed to be 2005, but Capcom had another game called Beatdown.
Fists of Vengeance.
Vengeance. Thank you. Which was very similar to this idea. So someone at Capcom being like, we don't need to release 2 of these games at once. And it helped that Streetwise was going through a bit of development hell because production studio and Capcom Japan were kind of butting heads on what they wanted. So that pushed the game back.
I know this is like diverging, but I just want you to answer. Have you played Beatdown? Is it any better than Streetwise?
I'm probably going to start doing that after this podcast because I was looking up information on Beatdown and it's like I've never heard of this game, let alone
I've never
played
heard
it.
Down until now.
The only thing I can say about it, and I haven't seen much gameplay, is that the protagonist looks like Steve Fox. It's kind of weird.
Like, I've seen reviews of Beatdown, but I paid it no mind. Just assumed it was, like, shovelware trash. I didn't know it was a Capcom project.
Me neither.
Beatdown Fist of Vengeance, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually had that game.
Did you play it?
Yeah, I did play a little bit of it.
Is it better than Streetwise? No?
Yeah.
From what I played, I personally thought Streetwise was a little bit better.
Interesting.
Oh.
Well, I will cross that journey when I get to reviewing those games because now they're on my radar. But yeah, that's it. I just thought it was a simple little beat 'em up with Streetwise, and that was about it. I didn't think it was anything special, and like I said, I felt like I know this game is like super fucking hard, but I felt like Urban Reign had much better mechanics in terms of like a 3D brawler that you could actually do cool shit. German suplexes, stuff off walls. It was crazy. It was fantastic. So if you want a better recommendation, I would say that.
So again, minor deviation. Wasn't Urban Reign the game with like a 4-player mode?
Yes.
And you could unlock characters from Tekken.
Yes.
Yes, Law
Right.
and Paul Phoenix.
All right, it's that one. I'm just making sure I'm not getting my wires crossed.
That game was amazing. We have to play that for the channel again, but
We do.
we have to move on to the next question. So this is going to be an interesting one, probably a little bit long, but what are some of your favorite characters in Final Fight to use? This can account for people who have played as these characters in Final Fight games or utilizing them in Street Fighter. I'm just gonna come out and say Guy. I say Guy and Cody. Like, I like Guy more in the Final Fight games because of what he can do. Once again, I'm a huge German suplex freak, so I gotta have that. And his playstyle in Final Fight 3 is so ridiculous that I just love it. The flames and everything. He's not bad at Street Fighter either. I just am a wimp and I don't like maining him in Ultra Street Fighter 4, so I usually stick to Cody. Cody is who I like to play with a lot in Street Fighter. I feel like I'm decent with him. I was kind of kicking some ass in Street Fighter 5, but again, I'm up and down with that game in terms of love and hate, so I didn't stick with it for way too long. But Ultra Street Fighter 4, I feel like I'm competent at least. So there you have it. Those are my two, Guy and Cody. Anyone else?
Mike Hagar.
Of course, the pipe.
I know. I've kind of been over this, but obviously, as I mentioned in the past, big fan of professional wrestling. So you have this man with a single suspender, giant arms for grabbing and dropping them to the ground with like backdrops, and he's like, he throws them, and it's like, I basically played him in every Final Fight game. I mean, you can have your speedy combo characters. I just want to drive people into the ground as Hagar. Like, he's obviously slower, but hurts more. He's the power guy. So Hagar's great. They brought him over to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and he was even better. One pipe is all it took to give that man his 15 minutes of fame in that game. And he took Zangief's spinning pile driver and innovated on it. Because when you crash down on someone with his level 3, you get this 1, 2. They do a triple take of that smash, and it's great. So Hagar is great, but a hero is nothing without his villains. The Mad Gear Gang each have their own traits, personalities, things you can remember about them. As cool as Hagar is, he has nothing on the Andore family. These boys just stuck Andre the Giant into Final Fight. He's got the hair, he's got the outfit, he just runs into you. I am a bit biased because it's not so much Final Fight as it is the appearance of Hugo Andore in Street Fighter 3 and by proxy Ultra Street Fighter 4. Hugo in Third Strike, as not great as he is, it's still really satisfying to jump in the air, do like a flip city, and you crash back down. Oh, I don't want to take this back to Revenge. I just remembered one more thing. I'm sorry. Andore has a super. Okay, yeah, this is part of the reason why I really like Andore, because he can do stupid shit like this. He has a super where his hand grows to double size, and you have a couple seconds to grab your opponent. When you do that, you use that hand to one hand, like, slam their body down, and if you press punch button again, Hugo does like a bonsai drop on them, and if you finish them with that super, your opponent is imprinted on your ass. It's like you squash them like a pancake. So yeah, Final Fight's got some really, really cool big guy characters that would get better with the advent of games like Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom. But those are my favorite characters in Final Fight. Poison often gets credit there too, because hey, it's this cool kick-ass woman character with a whip, and females are getting into the beat-em-up business as well. They're taking the hits as much as they're giving them. Good on you. That's really all I have to say in terms of favorite characters. I could go on, because again, the Mad Gear is just a cavalcade of who's who of legendary Capcom faces.
So I wanted to add two final things, and then I'm gonna let everyone else speak. So number one, I had an honorable mention since you brought up villains. I think Relento is awesome. I like using them. People are surprised.
That's my main.
Yeah, people are surprised that I use them, but I've been using them for a long time now. So it's one of low tier Relento. I appreciate that. Like, just the knives and the fucking fact that you can literally hang your opponent as one of the supers in Street Fighter 4 is so cool. And I wanted to add, isn't Birdie a part of Mad Gear, or am I mistaken?
He is not.
Oh,
Birdie is a gang member in Britain.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make
He
sure.
has Shadaloo ties, if I remember, or had Shadaloo ties.
Oh, so he's part of the big boys. I see now. I see.
It wouldn't really come into play until Alpha. He's just a guy you run into. He's just a guy that you run into in Street Fighter 1, and he just sort of gives you the double deuce, and you just die because it's Street Fighter 1.
No, don't remind me of that cancer.
But no, Birdie, aside from chain shenanigans, Andore, I keep going back to Revenge because this game does things to me. Andore has the most broken move in that game. He pulls out this gigantic chain. It goes 3/4 of the screen. You get hit, and you just get pushed back. And if you think you can jump over it, no, you're wrong. Because it hits you and you get pushed back again. It's just that game. I need to stop talking about it.
Anyone else on favorite characters to use? It could be Street Fighter, Final Fight, etc.
Being guy.
It was
sorry,
Guy. It was Guy until. Does anyone remember Guy's ending in the Street Fighter Alpha games, where he did have a mentor? He had a sensei, and we did not know about him until Street Fighter 5. who was
Yeah,
known
Zeku.
as the original Strider, Zeku. And let me tell you, man, if they was to make another Final Fight game, put that man in Final Fight 4, please. I want to see what he could do in the beat 'em up game instead of a fighting game, because he has so much potential.
Any other people that you like? He's like, no, that's it. Just Zeku. Zeku's the one, man.
Zeku, he stole my heart. Like, sorry, guy, you gotta take a back seat.
What about
He's
you,
already
Daryl?
taken several back seats now.
Oh,
He's gonna take another one.
don't remind me.
His sensei was the original Strider. I'm sorry. Like, Cody, you gotta step up your game.
So does that mean in the future, eventually, it'll become like Strider?
For Guy, I hope so. That would be lit.
What about you, Drill?
Me personally, my favorite character. My
Well, I
favorite.
was gonna say quickly, probably just Cody. I think he's cool.
That's fair.
Also, Poison's a good character too, even though she's just one of the people you beat up. But you can play her in Street Fighter.
I guess we're gonna cover the infamous topic of Poison's gender identity and how it differs between East and West. I remember
Oh
that
yeah, that's
controversy.
like a whole nother can of worms.
I remember that controversy, but
I always thought it was like some mistranslation or something.
I thought it was mistranslated, misquoted, and probably due to the fact that they changed particular versions of the game that sort of got into the equation of people thinking that Poison wasn't a woman.
As I said, I'm glad they confirmed that she is a woman.
And then they came out and said no. But it's whatever.
I will slap them if they changed it again.
She's still a fun character, so I appreciate it. Who
You ever play in 5, Ren?
Poison is Street Fighter? Which Street Fighter?
5?
No, I didn't even know she was in Street Fighter 5 until you told me. I must have missed out on
Wait,
that.
Yeah, how do you not know? She was confirmed alongside Honda and Lucia.
I really don't like Street Fighter 5, so I did not keep up with the DLC. The only one I knew about was Lucia, and that was it.
Akira.
Oh man, I remember.
No,
yes,
he wanted Batsu. He didn't want Akira.
I did want Batsu, yes, so I was off the Akira
Yeah,
train.
but he's already been in another fighting game, and we gotta have Akira.
Akira is my brother's main, is not my main, so it makes sense.
It's okay, Ren. Batsu is in.
You still have the other rival schools cameo, like Akira's brother Daigo is in their moveset.
Yep.
It's okay, Ren. Batsu, it's in Marvel now in that mod.
Well, anyone else before we move on? Nero, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, one of my favorite characters to play in Street Fighter was Cody because I liked his moveset, all that. And if I were to have a favorite Mad Gear character, it'd probably be one of the earliest weeaboos in like beat 'em up fighting game history. Hey, Sodom is pretty goofy.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I love playing Sholdom in the Alpha 3 Max.
I know everybody hates him for some reason.
Hades likes him, but it's probably the only one you don't see.
Capcom's
Sodom.
like, Sholdom? You get a cameo of him. That's it.
It's like, who is that?
I don't mind playing as Sodom.
Some guy that had like a samurai helmet. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Oh,
But I will say about Sodom though, I think something is wrong. If the last time I played it, and this was like a year ago or so, in the is it the 30th anniversary on the PS4?
yes.
When I was playing online with Street Fighter Alpha, there's something wrong with Sodom's moveset, like his hitboxes. There's something wrong with them. That they actually don't connect with the opponent.
They have like a different name on one of the ports.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever fix that, but
I think we talked about that, Drill. What about
What'd they call him?
Katana.
Katana.
Katana, yeah.
Because I guess Sodom is close to the word sodomy.
So what?
Or Sodom and Gomorrah, which is Bible based, and Nintendo was allergic to the Bible back in the
It was
day.
either
I mean,
it was
I'm gonna
either
assume that
because
he
of
was.
that or religious reasons.
I'm gonna assume he was named after the German thrash metal band because Abigail was named after the Merciful Fate album. So
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
my assumption here.
Oh, my least favorite character to play and fight.
So it
Abigail.
was just an unfortunate coincidence, got it.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunate. Mm-hmm. Just like when they changed Kunsight's name to Malachite when they brought Sailor Moon over.
Capcom just has this habit of like, you get a name change, you get a name change, your name is changed, and then your whole body is also altered as well. God damn.
But I will say, for me, Cody and Guy definitely in Alpha. Guy is a little hard for me to control, but he was a little bit easier to play with in the fourth game in Street Fighter V, Super Street Fighter V, or whichever one he was added to, or whatever version of that, because there's like 10 of them. Cody is always fun to play as. He's my main in Street Fighter V right now, but I'm switching between him and Nash, like going back and forth between the two of them. Cody's like totally top tier now, apparently, for Street Fighter V. So I don't know. The main reason why I was playing Cody in Street Fighter V is because he had the Virgil costume, and you know.
Of course.
But then I realized how much fun he actually is to play as. And Poison, of course, is always fun. She has like a really good keep away where she can, hit you with the whip. She has that as an anti-air. But that's not her best anti-air. Her best anti-air is her crouching medium. Like that thing hits like almost 100% of the time, and it does pretty good damage to you. And then I believe it's her V-Trigger 1 where she throws the cocktails at you. So she has really good keep away moves. For the life of me, I can't play with Poison in Street Fighter V, but I played with her pretty much. Like I played with her a lot in Street Fighter 4. And of course, Berlento is always fun to play with. So, of course, I was salty when they brought Falk over instead of Relento because they have similar weapons.
Can't stand for.
I've never connected Falk and Relento in any way up to now.
I
They
always
both
thought
just have
Falk
both
was.
stops, really.
I always thought they inspired Falk from Billy in KOF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing they have similar is the fact that they fight with sticks. I mean, Falk has Psycho Power with her stick, and Relento obviously doesn't. But whenever I play any kind of games that has characters with that kind of weapon, like Donatello, for example, in Turtles in Time, or if I'll play with like Shoyu and Dynasty Warriors, like any of those characters who have the staff weapon, I love it.
I think the only characters I would play with the staff weapons is between Rolento and Billy.
Mm-hmm.
The Turtles, I just pick Mikey. That's my guy right there. But
See, I
anyways,
used to play with Mikey, but then I started playing with Donatello, and I got like much more, a much better range of attack and all that.
Come to think of it, for the longest time in Soul Calibur 6, I played Gaelic.
So
But that's
do I.
as far
Yeah.
as as far as me and staff users have gone.
Yeah, that's my Soul Calibur main. Him and Ivy.
the immortal Ivy. Yes.
Voldo.
I think we're. Does anyone else want to go?
Oh, I didn't really talk about this character that much because we glanced over her. She kind of saved Final Fight 2, Maki. Like everybody is all about that guy, and Guy's great. Nothing like your badass stoic ninja in sneakers. To me, Maki as Guy turned up to 11. Your stand in place upside down spin kick, your wall jump kicks, and she was added to an actual fighting game down the line, which was Capcom versus SNK 2, where she got this incredible Izuna drop where she smashes you side to side to side across the stage before just Izuna dropping you. And they eventually added her into Street Fighter. via Street Fighter Alpha 3. But I think what makes Maki shine over Guy is her just rambunctious personality. She is always aggressive, always on the attack, and she's got tonfas, which I actually like more than staffs. But yeah, Maki is definitely an honorable mention for me.
Yep, she's one of my favorite characters in Final Fight 2, which kind of redeemed it a bit for me. So I would say she's also an honorable mention at best.
It's funny how she and Guy have more interaction than Guy's girlfriend.
Are you trying to ship these two? I have a feeling.
No, not me. No. I don't think they would ever.
Can I borrow a feeling? No, let's stop.
No, she's trying to ship Cody with his friend, his best friend.
Who might this be? Lucia?
Cody.
Oh, never mind. Forget I said anything.
Cody shipped with himself.
I'm sure there's a lot of Guy and Cody shippers out there. Same with Ken Ryu shippers. They're there.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
No, hold on. Ken Ryu? Let's talk about Ken and Terry, Kappa.
Oh, God. Move on to the next
Don't
topic.
make me start whopping out here.
Whop. All right, Rancid, yes.
All right, question number 7. So let's talk about the mythos of Street Fighter and Final Fight.
Yes.
So Final Fight is canon to Street Fighter. Do you think this
Yes.
was a good choice or a bad one from a lore perspective? Do you think the characters fit in with Street Fighter's story? I'm just simply gonna say yes. I mean, it works, and the fact that it lends to more characters showing up down the line, and even Mad Gear is in Street Fighter 6 is awesome. I like that they crossed over the story to the point where you know what's going on if you're an old school fan.
It's like what they did with rival schools. It's canon to Street Fighter. Like even the first introduction when they did it with what is it? Sakura coming into the Alpha series. Smart. And I'm glad they did this with the Final Fight characters coming to the Street Fighter mythos. And that's why Cody's a fucking mayor now. Let's go.
I think we have to talk about Saturday Night Slam Masters also, which I believe was the game that... there he is. I was waiting for Rad to come in for that one. Which I think, wasn't that the game that Hagar originated from?
Yeah, because Hagar was Hagar was a former pro wrestler. So that's the game he came in on.
Yep, that was before he became mayor.
Wasn't there another character with a relation with the Street Fighter character also?
Gunlock.
Yeah, they said he was Guile's brother or something.
Yep.
What? That's interesting. I like that. Just
That's
even
never really been confirmed, but
I mean, just even having that relation to characters and crossovers and relationships and friendships, it just makes the story grander. It doesn't hurt it in the long run, in my opinion. And plus, Street Fighter fighting in the streets, and you have some of the Final Fight characters crossing over and doing what they do best as actual Street Fighters.
Now, can we get another crossover like with Tekken with Akuma? Can we get Terry in Street Fighter 6? Please?
I'm down with that. You're right. You've been whopping 5 minutes ago before we moved on to this question.
No, really, I would love Terry in Street Fighter 6. I think that would be really fun.
You'll get Kyo Kusanagi and you will like it.
No, I will not.
I'll take him too.
Oh, God.
Which key are we talking?
Kusanagi.
No. Which voice actor?
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be his KOF 14 voice.
Okay.
Okay, but Street Fighter and Final Fight sharing universes, great. Not just because Final Fight used to be a Street Fighter game, but because it just makes sense. Obviously, the Shadaloo, the gang, Mad Gear gang, not even on the same level. But something like the Mad Gear gang keeps Street Fighter on the pardon the pun. It keeps the series at street level. And I like that. I like that Final Fight characters get thrown into Street Fighter. At this point, it feels less of an Easter egg and a, hey, remember this series, to a, yeah, that makes sense. It made a lot of sense in the Alpha series when Final Fight characters were added. It was cool. It was cool then, and considering we have a lot of Street Fighter 6 to talk about down the line, this is probably going to age spectacularly, because we're coming full circle. It's Street Fighter characters getting integrated into the small little pocket universe that is Metro City. Like, the Street Fighter characters have literal businesses in that city now. It's great. But I'm all for
I think
this.
doesn't E Honda have a like a hot pot there? They said, or he has like a
Yep.
or Chanko stew. I'm sorry, that's his thing.
Yeah, he runs a food shop there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else on this question?
I think it's great. Like, I mean, like you said, it just makes sense. Like, it wouldn't make sense if they were not in the same universe at this point. Like, it feels like, you know, while all the tournaments and all that stuff was going on, regular life goes on in Metro City. And it's really cool how everything is regulated to Metro City in Street Fighter 6. Like, you know, of course they have the world warriors and all that. But now everything is integrated into Metro City. And you know, again, yeah, it just makes sense. Like, I know how like Mad Gear is pretty much like separated from what Shadowloo's doing, but I don't doubt for 1 second that Mad Gear wasn't under Bison's radar. That if he wanted to subjugate them into working for him, he could. And it's really cool how, like, even if people like Cody, Guy, Hager, Zeku, any of those people had absolutely nothing to do with Shadowloo, they made it make sense. Like, you know, Rose going after Bison and then Guy showing up out of nowhere trying to stop Rose from, like, basically killing herself. Like, or any other kind of lore, you know, stuff that they would add later on, but it just makes sense to have it all in one big regulated universe.
Drill, you got any opinions on this?
Oh, with the whole crossing over thing.
Yep.
I mean, it makes the world look expansive, so it's fine with me.
Same. And someone brought it up earlier. I mean, Rival Schools is also canon to Street Fighter with Sakura, so I mean,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and wait till they say that Darkstalkers is canon.
well, I don't know. Maybe they could do that, but still, shit.
Oh no, it's not here no more. So
God.
They're
Save
like,
it for
oh
the
yeah,
comic books.
they did Darkstalkers versus Street Fighter
Yes,
comics.
they did. What I was referring to.
Wasn't it like an alternate universe or something?
I have no idea. I just know it exists. And that Morrigan's fucking evil in that series.
Damn.
Okay, so speaking of Street Fighter and Final Fight crossovers, there is a manga called Sakura Gambaru. It's a 2-volume series about Sakura. It's where Karin Kanzuki comes from. So Karin holds this tournament in Sakura's city. So fighters come in from all over the place, even people that were in town at the time, like, say, Ken Masters, for example. Eventually, the Sakura just encounters Maki from Final Fight, and they fight. And it's perfectly normal. No one brings anything up. It's just not worth wondering how she got there, because Final Fight and Street Fighter coexisting is more of a, yeah, that makes sense.
oh, I hate you.
Oh fuck! I knew it. Damn it! I knew that was gonna be sad. Huh?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I can't wait to see what wacky crossover they do next. You know, how about you revive Power Stone and make that a thing in the Final Fight universe? Oh no!
So my question is also, considering Akuma's appearance in Tekken 7, are they now considered in the same universe?
I mean, he did show up there. I would imagine they're just gonna illustrate it was a long, long way, and this traveler came over to this other potential land, and therefore all this stuff was going down. But I do believe
They could always say, "Oh, it's not the Akuma from Street Fighter; it's
It
a
is.
different Akuma."
Oh, that's no. They be bullshitting.
that will be
It
a
is.
cop out.
I have heard that theory, considering like the Yoshimitsu. No, didn't we talk about this last? We talked about this last.
We
podcast.
did with Yoshimitsu and Soul Calibur.
That
Second.
Yoshimitsu was before. It's like his ancestor from the Soul
Right.
Calibur.
So Yoshimitsu is like a
Isn't-
title name.
Yeah. So and it doesn't make sense considering in Soul Calibur he's way more talkative.
Hmm. I mean, I assume with Akuma's appearance, it would make the two universes. I mean, it would make sense also because both Chun-Li and Lei Wulong are Interpol officers, so it would make sense for them to know each other. It would make sense for all of them to know who Cody is, considering his, him going to jail often. His prison record is what I'm trying to say. It would also make sense for like any kind of. Are there any? I'm gonna sound really stupid here asking this, but is there any kind of like military characters in Tekken? Now that I think, like, I can't think of. Any
What's
of
his
them.
name?
Tekken Force.
Yeah,
the
I
Tekken
guess
Force.
Lars in the Tekken Force would know who like Guile and all them would be, or stuff like that.
I am pretty sure Akuma's appearance in Tekken is a one-way street.
Probably. I mean, I
Because
assume
we are
he'll
talking
know where
about
after this.
cross-company pollination.
Yep, we are.
Street Fighter and Tekken being in the same universe is the equivalent of Marvel and DC existing in the same universe.
Well, you know that has happened. But
It has happened, and it never happened again, if you notice.
Yeah. Man.
No, now these days it's Spider-Man and Batman making the most money.
I mean, you're not wrong. So, all right, let's move on to the final question of the Final Fight podcast. So, do you have any other criticisms of the Final Fight series? Cite your reasonings and give your thoughts on the supposed leak. Just letting people know that this is from the Capcom data leak. So a spoiler warning now, but there was a listing for supposed Final Fight remake. What is your thoughts on that?
Do not.
No,
I repeat, do not. I don't want them to make a Final Fight remake, but if they're gonna go with that along, the best they can do is make the gameplay play like Street Fighter 4, for example, or give it the team that did not Street Fighter 4, Streets of Rage 4. Sorry,
I mean
give it to the team
They
that
could
did
still-
Streets of Rage 4.
they could still make it in 2D like Ghosts and Goblins. That was an RE engine.
Exactly, just have it in the RE engine with 2D and have the gameplay play similarly to Streets of Rage 4, but give them new moves, new combos. And have I would say have most of the characters from Final Fight 1, 2,
So
and
wait,
3.
it would be a remake and not Final Fight 4?
Apparently.
I don't know.
Oh, because I was gonna say if it was Final Fight 4, they would have to. It'd be a bit difficult to put it in the timeline.
I think what would be cool is if they treated this remake like Resident Evil, where they do a reimagining, but it's basically the same events occurring just in a different way. So a more detailed story of Jessica getting kidnapped and Cody has to save her, and it's all cool and shit. But I still want the game to be in 2D or 2.5D.
I was gonna say if they were gonna do Final Fight 4, it probably would be with like Jamie, Kimberly, and I don't know, Luke.
Luke, we see more Luke.
Jesus Christ.
We have enough of him as the protagonist of Street Fighter 6. But
yeah.
I wouldn't mind per se. I just think it's kind of funny in a sense.
If you're going to do a Final Fight anything, now is the time. Considering that Street Fighter 6 seems to be primarily taking place in Metro City, and it's probably going to have a beefy story mode. And people are wondering how the Mad Gear gang even came back, because considering after the original Final Fight, they're done. They're just a bunch of guys kind of hanging out with one another. So what's the deal with these guys with cardboard boxes on their heads sporting Mad Gear paraphernalia? How did Mad Gear even return? This is the particular thread that could tie everything together. So if you're doing a new Final Fight, I don't want a remake. I want a Revelations experience where Resident Evil Revelations, it takes place between 4 and 5. I want to see the Final Fight that drives us, continues onward into Street Fighter 6. Story gameplay, you can do whatever the hell you want. I think the primary mission statement of a new Final Fight is getting to the Street Fighter 6 factory.
I agree. I mean, in one way they could do it is a prequel that tells more of an intermission, because you don't have those bits and pieces in there, but definitely focus on like Mad Gear, because there's like an entirely different gang after Mad Gear was killed off. Now they can't do that, but I think it was called the Skull Cross gang.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep, so that occurred during Final Fight 3, and then Mad Gear came back, so I assume this whole Skull Cross thing is no more. But I mean, if they make it interesting, if they make it, more, because I think if it ascends more than a beat 'em up where they actually put in the skills, dedication, and time to making this game interesting, then I totally would not mind playing it. It's just I heard some statements where people were like, we gotta expand coin op games because mostly you play for like an hour or two and that's it. So putting in some more content would be nice if they do that. That's how I feel. Just stuff this thing to the brim where I could beat the shit out of people with like 4 people, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah, actually include like 4 playable characters at minimum.
Absolutely.
You can do the big 3, Cody Hagar guy, and that's whatever. Maybe the 4th could be a brand new character. It's like, who can say? But considering how fun games like Streets of Rage 4 are, considering how fun Shredder's Revenge is, I think if you're not going to do a 4-player beat 'em up, why even try?
If it's not 4 players, why bother?
If it's not even a beat 'em up, why try?
Oh,
I assume the 4th player would probably be Kyle. Like maybe they're going to try to integrate him back or so.
Now
Now
they're
my
doing it.
question is, I'm sorry.
PTSD for Streetwise. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I guess they're gonna like
Not even just Streetwise,
is
not even just like because he's from Streetwise. I'm talking about in terms of like Kimberly, for example, in Street Fighter 6, being like trained by who's she's being trained by, Zeku or one of the
I think she's being trained by Guy.
Oh, Guy. Okay, yeah. They're probably, if they was to do a 4th, they will probably pick her over Kyle.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think so.
And then pump her full of those zombie roids, PTSD, whatever do you mean?
So I wonder who would be running Mad Gear, because according to Street Fighter 5, well, I guess even before that, like Poison, Abigail, all those people are not part of Mad Gear anymore. So this is probably like Mad Gear Part 2.
Oh, you know what? Since that's the case, Poison, Abigail, they might slowly turn, I wouldn't say good guys, anti-heroes, where eventually they'll help out Cody to fight them off. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I think even like Rolento would probably be like, yeah, no, I don't know who any of these people are. Like, I would imagine like the original Mad Gear people would be like, who are these people? Why are they using the name we used to use? Like, we're not like that anymore.
I feel like the leader's going to be damned. They're giving him a lot of spotlight in the trailers, and he's sporting them Mad Gear threads. Which, how is that not a jacket by now, Capcom? You still haven't confirmed Damn for Street Fighter anything. How are you missing this heart? Sorry.
Yeah, I think Axel is part of it too. Like, I think I've seen him.
Yeah. So Mad Gear people are hanging around Metro City, but are they even Mad Gear? Or the old Mad Gear? Because these new Mad Gears, these kids with these like crazy cardboard boxes and whatnot, I would really like to see where they're going with this. Hence my idea of an origin story.
That actually makes me think of another question here. So, considering what Luke's story was in Street Fighter V, like, are they going to disregard that and then give him a whole new introduction in Street Fighter 6? So maybe Mad Gear is what caused what happened to him with all the scars and all that, and maybe Mad Gear, this Mad Gear, like they killed his father and all that. I mean, I would
Luke's
imagine he's
just
the protagonist, so they're going to come up with some grand story for him.
Luke's just hanging out. Luke's just teaching the creative characters how to survive in the streets. I feel like they're gonna forego anything dramatic with Luke just because he's got Jamie, just because he's got a rival to help him be a stronger fighter. It's like Ryu. Ryu is the hero, but he's not the guy who's out there to be like, I must stop this evil thing. He's just in the neighborhood.
Did they say anything about Luke's father in his Street Fighter V thing? Or he died or something like that?
You guys are the experts on that. I know
Yeah, he got blown
nothing.
up in a mall explosion.
Jesus.
What if they pull what if they pull a twist on that? He
Well, I'd say
survived.
I
that
was
his
thinking,
dad,
like,
his
Mad Gear,
dad's,
like,
Yeah, he
his
became
dad's alive.
his dad's alive, and he was the new Mad Gear leader the whole time, but he did not want to say anything or
His,
tell his son.
his name is Luke Belger. God damn it.
Or and also they make him part cyborg, giving him half
Pretty
a
much.
robot face.
Yeah, I could see them do that, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
I do want to know why Luke is all like scarred and effed up looking, like, as opposed to his 5 design.
He accidentally fell on a raccoon. There you go.
Okay, that works.
It's like
He got beat
Yeah,
up.
they're not going to come
Maybe-
out with something like as dramatic, quote unquote, dramatic as they did in
Hon-
5. Like,
Honestly, they're probably just going to explain you got beat up really bad in a fight or something.
yeah,
Jamie gave it to him.
Gave it
or
to
like,
him.
or I'm trying to think, like an ex-girlfriend got pissed off and she keyed his face instead of his car.
She keyed his face. Okay, let's end
Luke
this
is not
podcast.
exactly what I would call a ladies' man.
No, I don't think so. Not with those braces.
Well, he tried to hit on Cammy and got beat up for it.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Exactly, because Luke's got no game.
Luke's the punching bag. He needs to stick to mocking Ryu if that's the case. All right then. So we're gonna end it. We got it.
Like Luke's. I was gonna say Luke's like the modern day Street Fighter Zoomer.
Can we please hurry?
We gotta end it here.
Moving on.
So we're gonna do outros for this podcast because we got another whole podcast to do after this one. So you can find me on Twitter at rentoperative_. You can find me
No,
on
we can't.
Shut up. Fuck you. So
No, we can't.
You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative, Pornhub at Renegade Operative X videos.
There you go.
And you can find me all on that social media. So
So on OnlyFans.
you can find me there too. Whopping for a living, I guess. We're gonna move on to Kaneki. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter, YouTube under the same name as Google Order, not Twitch because screw them. Anyways,
I got a hard on for them, man.
nope.
Next up is Drillbit.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Drovit777. That's where I'm really only active on.
Nikki Whopper.
Whopper. Okay, you can find me on Twitter at Neurocatatonic, all one word. You can also find me on Twitch with the same name, Neurocatatonic. And you can also find me on Metal Devastation, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. EST, where I play some really cool metal for all of you. doom metal, death metal, black metal, melodic death metal, goth metal, you know, all that cool stuff.
Nero.
Can we see you in the octagon as well?
Damn right you will.
Oh, there you go.
Nero, where can we find you?
I'm on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch under King Barrage.
All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Unless, wait,
Hi.
did I miss Rat? Damn it!
Yes, you
Yes, you
did.
did.
Hi.
All right, there
So, presumably, and I'm not saying you might, you can find me on Twitter at the RadRad, and you can find my YouTube channel, RadRad's Rad Games, where I just did a full playthrough of Final Fight Revenge for the purpose of this podcast. You're welcome.
Oh, that's where you're seeing that footage at right now when I upload this. He's the one soldier that took the hit or the bullet to the knee. Anyway, we're signing out.
I mean,
oh,
I was gonna say, I mean, if I had my capture card, I would have recorded something for Streetwise.
Drill, you outroed, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
I'm just making sure. So we're gonna move on to the next one where we talk about Tekken. So we will see you guys later. Thanks for joining us for Final Fight.